Hello and welcome to Master of None Handyman. Today we're going to show you how to replace the front disc brake pads of a 2017 Mercedes Benz. This is a 4MATIC version, and also this is the 450 GLS. This video would also work for most Mercedes Benz of the later models that have electronic brakes. So with that said, let's get going and let's take a look at those pads up front. Hope you enjoy, and let us know if you have any questions.
So here we are. We're going to start the process of changing the front brake pads on this Mercedes Benz GLS450. It is the same process to do the back brakes, or for that matter, pretty much any Mercedes Benz of later models. Again, this is a 2017. And you have to go through this process if they have ABS. So you're going to get into the truck. I'll be explaining different areas of the truck here for a second. So first thing you need to do in able to turn off the ABS is close the door. So once you have closed the door, you're going to do a few things. We're going to be working with the push button, start button, and I'll show you how to take that off. We're going to be playing with the menu buttons. The first one is going to be the call out key, and simultaneously using the OK key, and we're going to be looking for a special menu on the board. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and take out the startup button, and I'll show you how to do that. So here we are. I'm going to use both hands because it's easier. You grab it on either side and just pull on it slightly, and it'll come right off. Once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and insert your key, and I'm going to turn it to the first switch. Once it's on the first switch, at that point you're going to see that I'm going to hit the, again, call out the call out button and the OK button simultaneously for 5 seconds, and we'll get the special menu. So here we go. Put the ignition key to the first set, call out menu, OK, and there it is. So we have the special menu that has just appeared on our screen, and you can probably see it there. I'll try to get closer. And that's what it looks like. Alright, so coming back here, next thing I'm going to do is using the arrow keys and the OK button, I'm going to press it down, move it around till you get to pad replacement. That's the third one in the menu, and then you hit the OK button. It will ask you, do you want to move the fitting position to OK? So you again hit the OK button on the steering wheel, and it tells you moving the fitting position. You heard the brakes being released, and it's now it's telling you it's reached the exit fitting position. What you're gonna need to do is, after you do this, you go outside, you change the brake pads, and when that's completed, you'll have to come back in here and come here and hit the OK button so that the fitting position replaces itself back to the original position. Here we are now underneath the car, and we're getting ready to lift it. First thing you're gonna make sure is you come down here, and you'll see pads right here. This is the area that you need to be able to put your lifting jack from there to avoid any issues. I recommend, besides using a jack, if you have small kids, and just for safety and as a whole, not only use a jack to lift it, but also use the safety jack underneath the truck, like that orange one I got right there. That will prevent it if in case for any reasons it falls.
One of the things I like doing is using a brake bar and do this manually. Obviously remember to always cross over from the opposite sides, both for turn it on and put it off. I don't like an automatic gun because you can over tighten stuff and end up stripping the nuts. This is typically what happens when you take it to a auto place or a tire place. So to avoid that, make sure you do it manually. Next thing we're going to do is try to remove the tire. I tried to keep the stem on the same place always, just a personal preference. So when I put it back on, I'll put it the same way. Again, just in this case, the stem is up. Let's take it off. It's a little bit tight, so it's going to take a couple of hits to move it out, get it unstuck, and there it goes. Let me put it here on the side. All right, make sure it doesn't fall. I'm going to lay it down. Perfect.
The next process is to remove this bracket. You need to grab with pliers, pull up a little bit, and it'll come right off, as you can see.
Next, we're going to remove the plastic covers on the back of the brake pads. This one here on top, this is the little plastic cover. Comes out that easily with a screwdriver. You see here the bottom one, same thing. It's pretty easy. And after that, we're going to use a hex key. This is an 11 millimeters. Hardest part is just finding one. It was not on my toolbox, but it should do the job. So this is an 11 millimeter hex key. So here I have removed the caliper and taken the front disc brake pad, and I'm using a C-clamp to using the back brake, the old back brake, to push back the actual cylinders on the brakes. One of the things I did before doing this is obviously going up in the hood, taking a look at the reservoir for oil, make sure that there was not going to be any excess. As you push this back, the oil goes back on the reservoir and it can actually spill, or it can create problems for you. So make sure you go back in there and take out a sterile syringe and take out any additional oil that might be needed, and then you can always put back in if you need it. So again, this is I'm just pushing back with a C-clamp the two pistons that are here on the caliper, and that should hopefully take care of it. See, all right, take it out of there, and I'm obviously manually holding it. I don't want to put any pressure on the hose or anything to damage anything. Sometimes you can hang him up. In this case, I just kept it. Here I'm taking out the back pad. It's a little tougher than normal ones because it has these clips on the back. So here they've been removed, and I'm gonna get now the new ones here installed. Bear with me here for a second as I try to get them out of the box. So here's the new one, and again you got to put in the clips, and there's a couple of holes back here on the caliper, and you got to apply some pressure to try to get it in there. It can be a little bit complicated, but I'm trying to give it a push here with a screwdriver. Alright, opening up the C-clamp and obviously adjusting it to make sure is the easiest way to fit it in there. This takes a few seconds. I would say from the entire changing the brakes process, the most complex part is actually putting on and taking off the spring on the front of the caliper. That can, like I said, is sometimes can be challenging. And the second part is this, it's not challenging, it just takes a little time, but you need to squeeze them into the location and be able to put them in place. I'm not being successful here with a C-clamp, so I'm going to try to put it up here and push them manually in. They'll support themselves up here with a little bit of pressure into the hose, but they'll allow me to manually push them in. And let's see, this should do the trick. Let me get a little better angle so I'm not blocking you. And alright, everything looks aligned. And we're pushing them in. And there he goes. That was better than the C-clamps. Now we replace the caliper back into its position. Make sure it fits. Everything's in place. It looks good. Now this is the front pad. You can see it's got it's been worn down quite a bit. You can see it's worn out to the point that it would damage the disc. So now we get the new one. We're going to install it here. Again, remember, and if you're on the right hand side of the car, you would have sensors on both the front and rear tires. Here on the left hand side of the car, they do not have sensors. So it goes just here. Now I'm gonna just go ahead and it's in place. It's nice and snug. Alright, so we're gonna replace the caliper, align it properly, and everything looks good. No movement. So now we're gonna tighten up the pins. Remember, I'm using a hex key. It's 11 millimeters, and I'm gonna just get them tight without getting them too much tension until I complete everything, and then I'll come back and set them up to the right torque. That was good for the top one. Is it aligned? Now let's do the bottom one. Perfect. So now we're gonna put the front clip here on the caliper. And as I mentioned earlier, this is one of the challenging things. You have these little clips that have to go into those little holes, and they have to go all the way in, and you have to keep the tensioner in. That one is okay, not yet perfect. Now we'll put the tensioner and we try to push in this pin. And I'm using a screwdriver just to help me wedge it in there. Make sure that these are well inside this little hole. And just align it properly. Again, because you're fighting the tension and you're trying to make sure right here it fits into the little hole. And again, it just takes a little time, but it's one of probably the toughest thing you probably can find here doing this. I'm not sure Mercedes Benz has a special tool that can do this pretty easily, but just make sure that the two clips go into the holes and they're all the way in, and you'll see it, they'll snap once you get in there. You'll see it now. Still not there yet. We'll put in the tensioner in. That'll allow a little freedom here, and you'll see there it just fell into where it needs to be. I just make sure everything's in place. Tensioners are right. They're on the hole, and that should do that for that. So now we completed this. I'm going to go back here and tighten up the back bolts. Make sure the entire caliper is in place now that I have the tensioner. That's done on top. Now let's do the bottom one. There it is. And that we've completed this. The next thing is putting the plastic caps on. They just push them back in here manually, and that should take care of it. And with that, we've replaced the front pads on this Mercedes Benz, and the next thing will be putting on the tires and showing you the last steps inside the car. Alright, so let's keep on going. I've installed back the tire, so it's ready to go, and brought out the truck. So now the next steps we have to do is go back inside as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and we had to go back and play with basically options menu or the replacement pad menu. So we're back in the inside of the car. We're gonna go ahead and now reverse what we did before. Put it on the first key. We're gonna hit the two buttons right here, which are the call out button and the OK button again. Give it a few seconds. The special menus come up. We're gonna push the arrow key down to get to replace brake pads. Hit the OK. Now it tells us here the fitting position has been reached. To exit, fit OK. So we hit OK. Now it tells us caution, exiting fitting position. And fitting position has been exited. Confirm to OK. We hit once again the OK on the steering wheel, and we're done. So now we're back out of that menu, and we've completed with the replacement of the front disc pads on this Mercedes Benz GLS450. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Also, if you don't mind, follow us or subscribe on the bottom, and follow us on Instagram under Traveling Souls or Master of None, the handyman. Thank you.